Good evening, sir. So you can start sharing your PPT. Thank you to all. So you can start sharing your PPT. We'll be starting then.
Thanks, Fatma.
Well, to all the aspirants present here, this is going to be an interactive session. So shall we start?
Yes, let's start.
Good
Yeah,
evening,
thanks.
everyone. So the topic for today is cardiovascular CCS session, and it will be taken by Dr. Arun Rajasa. So over to you.
Thank you, Fatma. So, yeah, today's session is going to be a cardiovascular system mock case-based discussion, clinical case scenario. So, the exam date is nearing. Hope you're all preparing well. Myself, Arun Thangavel, who I'm currently working in London as a senior clinical fellow in critical care. I passed my exam 1 year back in 2025 with after taking a course with Farz Academy. I found it really useful. Now I've joined as a faculty to teach. All right. Congratulations for passing the EDIC Part 1 and preparing for Part 2. You are in safe hands with us in Farz Academy, and the CCS and CBS sessions which we share are the closest you can get to the exam experience. Even the actual EDIC preparatory course is not even close to this. So make use of it. So we will try and orient you to the EDIC Part 2 exam, those who have not attended my classes before. This is going to be like a simulation for the actual exam. So get involved, answer like you are answering in the exams, try to structure your answer and try practicing. Even if you are wrong, there is no worry. It's a closed group. It's absolutely safe place, so you can express yourself. Don't worry about being wrong or anything. And we will try to modify your answers just for the expectations for the exam. So let's keep it interactive, maximize your benefits by trying to treat it like an actual exam. If possible, keep your videos on. I will try to question everyone. So those who can, please engage and try to answer, and feel free to interrupt at any point and clear your doubts. Okay, so let's start the session. So the question is open to the floor. I'll read the question, then whoever is willing, they can answer. If no one, then I will pick someone to answer. Okay. All right. So you are the ICU trainee on call. Mr. Anderson is our patient, presents to the emergency department with a 5-day history of productive cough, fever, and progressive dyspnea. Over the past 24 hours, he has become increasingly confused as well, according to his wife. On arrival, his vitals are heart rate 115, sinus tachycardia, blood pressure is 88/50, respiratory rate is 28 per minute, SATs of 88 on room air, he is febrile. On examination, there is reduced breath sound at right base with coarse crackles. JVP is not elevated, no peripheral edema. Chest X-ray shows right lower lobe consolidation. And basic investigations, lactate is 4, counts are elevated, CRP is high, procalcitonin is high. So all the units I have given in according to like Europe and UK standards, but they will hopefully give like international, units as well as like different units like milligram per deciliter kind of unit. They will give two options as well, so there won't be much of a confusion in terms of units. But get used to this kind of units as well. Most of the standardization in UK will be like per liter, and troponin is mildly elevated. Baseline is 35. Like I have given, they will always give a normal value as well whenever there is a question either in CBS or CCS, so you can interpret easily. And yeah, we are getting a ECG showing left bundle branch block, deep Q waves in anterior leads. So this is a sparse medical history. He's got ischemic heart disease, previous STEMI, and he's got few stents placed in the LAD. Heart failure with reduced ejection fraction, 35% EF at baseline, and he's got moderate mitral regurgitation, which is functional as well, and CKD, hypertension, and diabetes. Right? So he's on bisoprolol, ranipral, empagliflozin, aspirin, atavas, and metformin. So the ED has already given some empirical IV antibiotics as per sepsis guidelines, and he has received 1 liter of fluid so far, and you are reaching the site in the emergency department. So how will you take it from here? So this is going to be your exam opening question. So how are you going to answer? Whoever is willing, any volunteers?
Can I try, doctor?
Yes, go ahead.
Uh, okay, so I'm having here just the age I didn't get. What's the age of the patient?
I didn't give it.
It wasn't
So
written there. It's like
let's say
65, 70,
65.
you say? 65-year-old. So this is a gentleman who's previously having ischemic heart disease, ischemic cardiomyopathy, presented with possible community-acquired pneumonia. The
Mhm.
patient had in a septic shock situation,
Yeah.
evidenced by low blood pressure, features of hyperperfusion, lactate.
Hmm.
With the creatinine, I'm not sure about the baseline, but possibly will be as his CKD, maybe this is his baseline. So with a low GCS. So I need to assess the patient properly, checking his airway patency, breathing. I need to, he's already receiving like 1 liter of crystalloid. I need to connect him to monitor to properly assess him. As I said, patency of the airway, if you need support or not, possibly if his GCS allow, I start with CPAP or BiPAP, and then non-invasive or high flow nasal cannula to support his oxygenation because he's hypoxic. I need
Yeah.
to definitely treat this patient in the ICU, so I need to connect him to the monitor and monitor his response to the oxygenation. And if he needs tube, I'm going to tube him. And then I need to put some lines and possibly invasive lines to check his blood pressure by the invasive blood pressure monitoring and take an ABG to reassess my resuscitation. And then I need to connect him definitely to invasive monitor as well, cardiac output monitor to differentiate what type of shock, because yes, it's sepsis, septic shock, but it might be other causes of of shock because his baseline ejection fraction is low, and then I would check it from there. And
All
then
right.
definitely monitoring his urine output, other perfusion parameters, check my sending for blood cultures, sputum culture if he had sputum because he had a productive cough. And I will insert a Foley catheter to monitor his urine output. So he needs to be managed and then reassess the patient and see how is he responding to my management.
All right. That's a really comprehensive answer. I'm happy with that. But is there anything else? So the
Yes,
actual exam
definitely.
is now going to say like like
Def, definitely the yes, definitely the patient is on lots of medication, which is most of it like blood pressure lowering medication. I need to hold them for now,
mhm.
and yes, that's what I'm thinking about now. And maybe yes, I'm going to send for viral panel, respiratory panel. Yes,
Is it
that's
height?
what I'm thinking
Can call
about.
you.
Sorry,
So how can I call you? Height?
Haitham.
Haitam. Hi. Thank you,
Yes.
Haitam. Thank you for volunteering and giving a very good answer. Right. Can you think of anything else to do in this
Yes.
patient
So,
at this point,
y- y-
or anything particular
yes.
to his past medical history or his medication?
Yes, I've already started by holding all this lower blood pressure lowering medication. One,
Yeah.
maybe part of my assessment will be also assessing his cardiac function. He's already having a baseline of a low ejection fraction. I need to know also whether that left bundle branch block is it new or old. So if it's new, then I need to possibly will be having a record of previous ECG, so I need to compare and take it from there.
Right. And anyone else have any different ideas? Anything else you want to add in to? Already we have a comprehensive answer, but I think you have few more points. You can get few more marks here.
Okay.
If you're missing out.
Okay, I would also add. I think Haytham has monitored his MAP urine output will need to be monitored here and lactate trends. I think there's also a role for renal protection here. The patient has got risk with CKD, sepsis, and hypotension. So, role of avoiding nephrotoxins and strict fluid balance. He has an LVEF of 35%. So maybe a bedside sonar to assess his fluid status and to see if he doesn't have any signs of pulmonary congestion, and then avoid fluid overload. And then you may have to consider if he persistently becomes stays in shock, given his CKD, we may then have to consider early renal replacement therapy as part of your management strategies. The patient was started on antibiotics, but however, this patient is from a community, so you're going to have to think about, they were only given the initial bundle of antibiotics, so you'll have to think about using antibiotics that will cover acquired organism, and also think about the fact that he has previously been in hospital and may be carrying resistant organisms and is immunocompromised because he's diabetic and chronic kidney disease. So think about that as well in terms of infection control. And then he did mention that depending on the response to the high flow nasal cannula, it might have to consider early intubation. But this is a patient who is hemodynamically unstable, so we have to consider that as well and pre-optimize the hemodynamics by maybe starting
How would you
vasopressors.
optimize?
So start vasopressors, vasoactive agents, and consider no adrenaline for two things. One as a vasopressor for sepsis, two as a inopressor for the potentially cardiogenic part of the compromise. And then when we do intubate, we'll have to think this is going to be a physiologically difficult airway. So we'll have to use cardiostable induction agents like ketamine or etimidate. So you have to consider the drugs that you're going to use for that induction as well.
All right, I'm going to stop you there. So this patient is not requiring intubation, so we will leave that for another discussion. Would you already Haitham mentioned he will stop the antihypertensives? Would you stop anything else from his medications?
You have to consider stopping the SGL2 inhibitors. This is a patient in a stressful condition. He may then develop either euglycemic DKA as a result of the medication. So the SGLT2 inhibitor is a consideration to stop as well.
Yes. And another thing to stop is the metformin with a raised lactate as well, right? So we do all know all these things, but it's just answering in a structured way when you are asked. So you might think like you have given a comprehensive answer, but there may still be some points which you can easily score, which you already know, but you are not saying it out loud. So that's why I've kind of emphasized on bringing out the answer. And with respect to fluids, so what I expected from you guys is I will go for early vasopressor requirement rather than the patient has already received like 1 liter of fluid. So there is a risk of heart failure here. So we should consider using vasopressors early rather than leaving it for late, like after giving like 30 mils of fluid as per surveying sepsis guidelines. So like you all said, I would have done the same, but I would have emphasized more on point of care ultrasound early and get a early echo. And with regards to the fluids, I would have said I would be cautious in my fluid management. Patient, we have already given a liter of fluid, then we will go with the guidance of point of care ultrasound, clinical assessment, give more fluids cautiously while preparing for vasopressors. So other things we already discussed.